Now, prepare yourself to be disgusted in this new issue floating on the internet. Sean Diddy Combs allegedly made $50 million by exploiting Justin Bieber at his exclusive, secretive parties. Not only your run-of-the-mill Hollywood party affair, these were practically the stuff of legend. Closed-door gatherings where only the most powerful people in the industry were in attendance. And Bieber, although still somewhat a young star, headlined some events as its main attraction, drawing scores of interest and, subsequently, money for Diddy himself. But that is merely the tip of the iceberg. In fact, allegations over what actually occurred at these parties are beginning to surface. When Justin Bieber turned 15, he was just rocketing into stardom. Mentored by Usher and discovered by Scooter Braun, he went from being a viral sensation on YouTube to rubbing elbows with some of the biggest names in the music industry. Among these was Diddy, the iconic figure in the entertainment world who introduced Bieber to an entirely new level of celebrity life. Diddy didn't just invite Bieber to the studio or casual meetups. He introduced him to a world of private, high-profile parties that only some very privileged people knew about. In one of those viral videos, Diddy was caught bragging about how he was going to take Bieber under his wing for 48 hours. A dream experience for any young star. The real question is, what kind of world was Diddy truly showing him? According to sources close to the situation, these parties were a whole lot more than Bieber's chance to mingle. They were an entrance into a world of high rollers from the music and business worlds. And of course, the celebrity one, in which power and money reigned supreme, and people would do just about anything to stay on top. Diddy's so-called freak-off parties were notorious in celebrity circles. These were not just glamorous events filled with expensive drinks, luxurious settings, and famous faces. They were much more secretive and scandalous. Whispers about what goes on at the parties have always floated around. However, details were always very hard to come by. Many described them as a parallel world, where the laws and rules of society did not apply. Anything goes when the doors are closed, and whatever one finds inside should indeed be left at the door upon exit. And if recent reports are anything to go by, then Justin Bieber was right in the middle of these. Those high-end parties reportedly raked in top-dollar clients just to be in the same room as Bieber, who was still underage. Whether Bieber understood then or understands now, having this underage person be the draw for so many to attend begs some questions. The financial gains for Diddy were gargantuan allegedly, netting him up to $50 million, a not too shabby haul. It was Bieber's rising stardom and innocent image which turned these private gatherings into the most important event in Hollywood. The scandal, as long as it was running, was no longer about parties. There were whispers of what Diddy was really up to behind the scenes, with some claims that his homes, where these events were held, were secretly rigged with cameras. It has come to the forefront that Diddy had cameras mounted all over his properties in almost every room, from the bedrooms, bathrooms, and living rooms in his mansion. These cameras putatively captured the happening of everything at his parties, whether or not the guests knew this. This is where things get really dark. The theory goes that Diddy used his footage for control, maybe even blackmail, but at least as a way to hold power over the powerful people coming to his events. But where does Justin Bieber fit into all that? It is reportedly alleged that Bieber, like many other guests, may have been recorded during these gatherings, not knowing or realizing that cameras were put all over the place. With no concrete proof emerging that this footage was used against Bieber, the very idea that a young performing artist may have been filmed against his wishes whilst attending these closeted parties adds a whole new level of disturbing to the allegations. With all this coming to light, fans, among other members, are left wondering whether Bieber's time at the parties could have had any lasting effects. Bieber has revealed his personal struggles with addiction and mental health issues, and many people are revisiting the speculation of whether or not the subtlety and introduction into this high-powered world played any part in later difficulties. Bieber has spoken in past interviews about the dangers he went through with his meteoric rise to fame. Already by his late teens, he experienced problems with drugs, leaning on pills and other substances to cope with stardom pressure. Was that somehow his trigger? The exposure to his lifestyle through attending Diddy's parties? It's very suspicious. During the peak years of Bieber going deep into these circles, his personal troubles began to spiral out of control. While Bieber has never directly linked his struggles to Diddy, with events falling this way coinciding with his downward spiral, it's hard to just simply look the other way. Diddy's empire has been under extraordinary scrutiny of late. A coordinated attack after decades in the entertainment world. Federal raids on his properties in both Los Angeles and Miami reportedly involved trafficking and illegal surveillance. Those raids marked one of the first major public acknowledgments that the government was now involved, and that these accusations might not just be rumors anymore. Specifics with the federal investigation remain sealed at the moment, but sources close to the matter said raids are a part of a greater investigation into the secretive events he hosted and whether any laws were broken. Allegations run from possible underage involvement to illegal surveillance, with Bieber's name continuing to be mentioned as part of the investigation. It is not yet clear whether Bieber will be considered a victim or is simply a witness for these events, but the very fact that federal authorities are now actively seeking evidence connected with those parties implies that this is something more than a simple celebrity scandal. The legal and reputational ramifications for Diddy are already quite severe, but if found guilty, they could plummet even further. The careful construction of public persona that speaks to his success and power would be completely demolished if the allegations stand in a court of law. Usher, another central figure in Bieber's early career, is not without his ties to Diddy. He himself had been mentored by the mogul during his early years in the industry, and he himself was the means through which Bieber was first introduced to Diddy. Though he probably never saw it coming, his involvement does bring about one question: to what further lengths do these connections really reach? Usher has even joked in interviews how he left Bieber with Diddy for 48 hours, but in retrospect, that joke is a lot more problematic in context with recent allegations. One wonders how much of this Usher knew was going on at Diddy's parties. As more information comes to light, it is clear the story is far from over. The investigations into the actions of Diddy remain ongoing, and new details seem to emerge with each passing week. For Diddy, it really couldn't get any worse. If the accusations prove true, his reputation, legacy, and possibly even his freedom may be at stake. The incident has reopened deep wounds in Justin Bieber. While he has, over the last few years, tried to keep his distance from Diddy, these new claims throw him back rather graphically into those very adolescent years. People are now even asking themselves how many of Bieber's problematic early days were connected to being entangled with Diddy and his parties. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.